I'm afraid to say that there are a number of democratic societies where frankly, there is a strong link with philosophical and political ideologies of authoritarianism and punishment.
Yeah.
And you know, the US or other places have got a lot of people in jails.
Yeah.
The recidivism rates for quite a number of things, especially for young men, are terrible. Whereas in other places where you've got enough money and time to invest in re-education, in social aspects about good schooling or good environments and social support and finding good things for them to do rather than wasting their time doing things which are antisocial, or approaches like restorative justice, sitting down and meeting the victims.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff which comes out of the criminology stream is mirrored in many ways in how do you run a good business or how do you run a good organization, whether it's public, private, charitable, whatever. You support people. So the behavioral science has actually quite a number of different theories, but one which I found particularly illuminating is called self-determination theory, by American professors Ryan and Deci, who've spent their whole lives with teams researching many different things. The textbook is absolutely enormous here. And their three concepts are: people need to feel competent, to feel autonomous, and to feel related to others, because we're social animals. So if you say to someone, you're bad, you're hopeless, you're useless, you don't know anything, and then you isolate them, that diminishes their needs, their feelings of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Whereas if you say, would you like some more training? Next time you do it, how about this? And you encourage them, basically.
Yes.
Now, that is exactly the same principle of human beings relating together to produce effective outcomes inside organizations, as it ought to be in the external attempt to control organizations' behavior and consequences, which is the external regulatory environment. It's actually the same attempts to control. It is entirely understandable that in the evolution of human societies, and there are many interesting books by developmental anthropologists and brain scientists on this, that say when we started to cooperate, and it's human beings who are the most effective cooperators, based on our ability to know the difference between right and wrong. So there's actually an inherent gene, and some very distinguished scientists have said that that almost unique ability is what made Homo sapiens different. And it was a genetic mutation right at the start of Homo sapiens that made us work out who we could cooperate with and who we trusted, therefore, and who not. And this is the glue that cements together families and later tribes and larger communities and now very sophisticated groupings of nations or international groupings. But if you think about it, the control, and this is where one goes into politics, in other words, the study of power. You think back to the Middle Ages, you've got a king, a boss man, who tells people what to do. It's authoritarian, it's vertical. He rules by fear, basically. And if people do things he doesn't want, he beats them up, throws them into jail, kills them, etc. Now, maybe this sounds a bit dramatic, but there are too many societies these days that are still authoritarian. So we're still using the same punishment in order to control people. I absolutely believe that if society is threatened, society has to defend itself and to use hard tools in order to deliver protection. So if you've got criminals, terrorists, people who internet scams, child abuse, etc., etc. In the same way as you find dictators who start wars against other countries at the moment. You have to respond and defend yourselves and protect yourselves in those circumstances. But the science says if you use the same hard authoritarian tools on the people who are trying to do good things, then that usually goes wrong. It's ineffective and people resent it, and therefore their sense of autonomy, etc., goes down. So they don't want to work with you. Now, there are so many examples in organizations and in regulation where an authoritarian approach actually hasn't produced the right answer and quite often produces something that's worse. It's all explicable in terms of the science.